Hey everyone, good afternoon. How's everybody doing? My name is Moreno and welcome to another growth webinar series episode. Today, we're going to talk about how you can level up your body, mind, and spirit. And right now, as we're recording this, we are going through the global pandemic of COVID-19. So if you're tuning in during that pandemic, great. If you're watching this at some point in the future and COVID has been eradicated, even greater. That's awesome. So today, joining us for the second time, we have Jaqueline Moreno from Live Free Pain Therapy, and she is an amazing massage therapist, and she has a lot of experience when it comes to coaching as well. So I'd like to go ahead and welcome Jackie. How you doing? Happy to have you here again.
Thank you, Marta, for inviting me back. I'm happy to be back and doing great. How are you doing?
Super well. Happy to be here. Excited that, at least for us in South Florida, where we're at, things are starting to return back to some level of normal. So I've been happy about that and really using this time, I guess, to be very intentional about growing myself and leveling up my own mind, body, and spirit as well, which is, I guess, very appropriate for what we're talking about today, right?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we are so fortunate to be in the state where we are 50%, opening up 50% some of the restaurants, and that we can basically enjoy the outdoors. We can enjoy the parks as long as we're wearing a mask and practicing the social distancing. So yeah, and the weather's great too. You know, we don't have any cold fronts, and so far sunny weather and some rain, but just overall, something great to look forward to be grateful for. So much to be grateful for.
For sure. And we talked a lot about that last time. We talked about the power of gratitude and how it can be very healthy and good during this time. And we're about 2 months in now. Actually, a little bit over 2 months, depending on where you are in the world. But definitely, for us in the U.S., it's definitely been about over 2 months. So I wanted to ask, I guess, by starting this off, is how have you been personally leveling up your personal body, your mind, and your spirit? How have you been doing that during this time?
So last time, we talked about scheduling things and keeping some type of routine, and that has continued. I mentioned, incorporating my prayer life and how I increased that. This time I wanted to incorporate some activities that that I wasn't doing, and it's exactly, kind of get yourself out of your, because every routine becomes monotonous, as you know, and right. And so, like, sometimes you think about, like, okay, well, if I'm going to be doing the same kickboxing and the same routine every day, I might not want to do it every day. I might want to just start something different. And so I started while I was cleaning, which is so important, because cleaning, and I know that lots of our audience and listeners and whoever's viewing us right now around the world is probably doing a lot of cleaning, and so while I was right, and while I was cleaning, I realized, I stumbled upon some old CDs, and a collection of CDs that I enjoy, especially 90s, especially like era 95 era, freestyle and hip hop. So while I was cleaning, I was basically busting a move as I was cleaning, and I found myself really enjoying the workout while I was cleaning, and I'm like with my broom and using my broom as not only as a microphone, but also as a as a pole to like lift my arms in the middle of it, and like using it as like trying to go over and under, that sort of stuff. Remember that. So that kind of stuff. I or maybe my dance partner was the broom at some point. Yeah. So I really had fun. I really had fun with it, and I realized that you got to incorporate some fun in whatever you do in your day.
Yes.
And that was, for me, music is my therapy for the most part. Music is my therapy. So I find myself bringing so much energy into my life and happiness when I have like a good playlist, like a good song. Like it peps up my day. So definitely incorporating that into my schedule has made big gains. So
That's excellent. I really like how you brought that up, because that's one of the things too that I like to talk about a lot. Is a lot of times people tell me, well, I don't want to go to the bank, or I don't want to clean, or I don't want to do these mundane tasks because they're boring. And so one of the things that I like to talk about is, well, one of my favorite questions to ask is, how can you make that more fun? One of the best things that you can do is find a way to turn the ordinary into the extraordinary, and finding ways to make it more enjoyable. And I think especially now, because there is so much, unfortunately, there's anxiety going on, there's some paranoia, there's some fear. I think now more than ever, fun is a precious commodity that we want to find whatever way we possibly can to inject it into our lives on a daily basis, because everyone talks about being productive, myself included. I think productivity right now is extremely important. At the same time, we want to make sure that productivity also has a level of fun with it as well, because you never want life to be boring.
Oh, for sure.
You never want life to be boring. And I think one of the best ways that we can inject new energy and new fun and new life into our daily tasks is with fun. And when you talked a little bit about, when routines get monotonous, I face that. And it's very easy to fall into the trap of, I've been doing this for so long, it's become boring. So one of the things that I wanted to bring up is the idea of having a very simple but measurable plan. So, for example, when you are working out, for example, you have a goal and you set, perhaps it's a certain amount of minutes, perhaps it's a certain amount of calories, perhaps it's a certain amount of repetitions or weight, whatever it might be, distance. And you create a plan and you set a goal for yourself. And that way you track your progress along the way, and you can see, well, because I've been doing this for 2 months straight, I can see where I started and where I am now. Because I think one of the reasons why things get monotonous and boring is because people, they don't feel, even though they've had progress, they don't see it. So I track everything that I do so that I can say, well, okay, well, if I stop now and I break this routine, even though it's a good one, I'm going to lose all the progress that I've made up until now. And other than having a measurable plan to measure your progress, you can always add little elements that are different. Maybe you'll switch up a certain exercise, you'll switch up a certain set, or maybe you'll incorporate, different phases of working out, so that way you don't get bored from a health perspective. From a business perspective, we also have to do the things that keep us going, right? So if I'm a small business owner and I have a small team, if I don't have a big company, or if I don't have 30, 40, 50 employees, I'm going to be wearing different hats. And so it's important to remember that going to the bank, for example, and making a deposit is essential to keep your business going, because you have to have money in the account, right? So you always want to find ways to make the boring things have a bigger purpose, because they do. When you go to the grocery store, you're getting food for your family. And even though it seems boring, you're doing something very essential. You're feeding your family. So it's always important, I remind people, to connect the simple things with the purpose that lies beneath it. And that's a way to remind ourselves, well, hey, I got to do this, not just because I have to, but there's also something better that is underneath it that I might be missing superficially.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point when you mention adding something different, because that is and sticking to your goal and sticking to your routine and making sure that you are progressing, that you are meeting your goals, and you could still do that and have a good time and really. And I was thinking, like, you could regress to your childhood, and see what things you wish you could do or you miss doing, and try and go for that. Like, I know last time, in terms of exercise, like I mentioned my how much I loved kickball, and playing with my neighbors. I mean, if your routine happens to be, like missing something, well, what about adding like kickball in the middle of your day, and just like, oh, today my exercise is not going to be the same as I usually do, but I'm going to go ahead and play some kickball, and I'm going to see if my neighbors want to play it with me, and just kind of and stick to you're still gonna have measurements, because it's gonna if you're wearing one of those, like, watches, or calculator, it calculates like your endurance, or your heart rate. Yeah, one of those measurement tools. If you have one of those on you, then you can achieve that. So I would advise you to just incorporate the fun things, and try to find exercises that you enjoyed as a child, and that way, it kind of splits up your week. Like, today's Wednesday. Wednesday's my favorite day of the week, by the way. I was born on a Sunday, but Sunday is one of my favorite days because it's the Lord's day.
Amen to that.
But I mean, I love it. But Wednesday is really my favorite day of the week, because Wednesday is your opportunity to change. Is really the middle of the week. It's your opportunity to make your week better.
I like that.
Or right. It's your opportunity to, like, okay, make the change today, Wednesday, so that the rest of the week is, like, going to be better. So Wednesday is your like decision day of whether I'm going to keep doing what I was doing yesterday, or am I going to change today and make it better. So Wednesday is really my favorite day.
I like that. I know a lot of times people talk about Wednesday being the hump day because you're getting over that hump.
I don't like that.
You don't like that.
That's why I didn't bring that one up.
I like, that's actually the reason why I wanted to bring it up, because to me personally, what you just said sounds like a much better alternative, and it sounds like a much better way to view. And I know a lot of times especially when I was doing mainly personal training work, I can't tell you how many times I had clients tell me, well, today's Thursday, I'll start that on Monday. So let's say I had a suggestion, or I had some sort of thing that I felt that they were telling me something, I was giving them some feedback. Oh, well, I'll start that on Monday. Well, why don't you just start it today? There's this mental, for better or for worse, there's this mental fixation that you have to wait until January 1st to do something new, or you have to wait until Monday to start something new. Why not now? Why not Wednesday? Why not Thursday? Why not Friday? Why not, I had one coach, I would always say to me, Maro, the best day was yesterday. The next best day is today. You know, and those words will forever echo in my mind. You know, the best day was
Yeah.
yesterday, you know? And I always remember that because it's the power of how you said we have the power of changing course, and we can really change, you know, where we're going,
Yeah.
you know, just like that. I really like that. I'm gonna definitely find a more creative another creative way to apply that in the future, maybe my workshop or something, because I like that how you mentioned that, how you like to mention how you
Yeah.
can turn it around just like that.
Yeah, I know. Feel free to expand on it, because I feel that you know, if you don't try, you know, to try on and capitalize on the day of today, you're really gonna never gonna be ready. You know, like you're never gonna be ready if you keep putting it off, right? You keep
Yeah,
telling yourself, oh, I'll start it on Monday.
yeah.
But why Monday? Like, is it because it's the beginning of the work week? But why not change that mindset and frame it to like, okay, well, you know, maybe Monday wasn't my best day, and Tuesday, you know, I thought about it, I thought about changing things, but I didn't act on it. So Wednesday's going to be my day. Wednesday is going to be the day I capitalize, I change my mindset, I make action, I do what I need to do. So that's kind of me. So I'm a Wednesday.
You're a
And
Wednesday guy.
some people some people will think of Wednesday being the girl from that from the Adams family.
Oh
Uh
yes, of course, Miss Little Goth there, yeah.
right? Yeah. So I mean, call me Miss Wednesday, because like Wednesday's really my day, and I really enjoy it because I feel like it goes without it goes with what people's mindsets are. Like if you could change that, and transforming mindsets is what, you know, we're in the business of. Is like, let's change our mindsets and try to you know, better our life, because our brains really are is the most powerful driving force of our decision making. So if we can massage our brains to a different framework, right?
I'll take one of those.
Exactly. Right? Massage our brains out of a mindset and massage our brains into a new mindset. What amazing gains will we, you know, encounter in the future? So it's really important.
Yeah. And I liked you touched upon so many good things there, by the
Thank
way.
you.
You really did. There was one thing that you mentioned that really stood out to me. And you said, well, why do people wait until Monday? And you know, you talked about, is it because of the start of the work week? And that just goes to show, and we talked about how we want this episode to be about injecting powerful new routines into your life. You see, that right there, that statement of Monday because it's the start of the work week, it just goes to show how powerful routines really are, because you've been conditioned to work from Monday through Friday. Most people work on a Monday through Friday schedule. That is a routine. So it just goes to show the power of what routines can have on our mind, because since that's been engraved, well, I have to wait until the start of my work routine so that I can start another routine as well. So that just goes to show how powerful routines really are, because we've become
Yeah.
conditioned to a routine and we want to maintain that routine. I'll be honest, I have a very similar routine where I will work out, for example, Monday through Friday. I would say probably about 90%, if not 95% of my work is done Monday through Friday. And I take Saturday and Sunday off to recover my mind, my body, and my spirit. So that just goes to show the power
Right.
of a routine. And one of the things that since we want to talk about developing new routines, one of the best ways to do that I have incorporated in my own life and in the life of my clients is the idea of having a daily win system. And a daily win system is it's a very simple system, but it's a system that works extremely well. You pick one thing that you do every single day, Monday through Sunday, that as long as you do that one thing, you've won the day. And it can be anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a workout. It could be a phone call. It could be reaching out to a friend. It could be cleaning a portion of the house. It could be maybe a certain income goal. It doesn't matter. But the point is that one of the best ways to put motivation into your life, especially now, and to inject new energy is by creating something that will make your day a win. And that's one of the best ways to start new routines, because when you feel like you're winning, you naturally want to keep playing the game. So you can use the daily win game to create a new routine. And the second that you feel like you're making progress, it catapults you and it makes you want to keep doing that thing. And then before you know it, now you have an entirely new routine that you created in a very fun but very basic and systematic way.
Yeah, I love that. I love the daily win. What a great concept, Mauro. Congrats on that. I can relate to the daily win. I never called it that, but that's interesting. And now I'm gonna refer to it as a daily win every day. Like
Cool.
my win every day is different, of course. Like you said, like it's a phone call that you do to a friend that you haven't spoken to in months. And I could relate to that. I actually called up a friend of mine yesterday, and I wanted to check in with her to see how she was doing. She's over in California, and we were talking about, you know, how are things over there? Have they opened any restaurants? Or, you know, no, they're still in lockdown completely. So nothing. And she's like, you're fortunate to be in Florida, and it's interesting that. And so it was good to talk to her. She was very, you know, she gave me some advice on my life, and I've always been somebody to give her advice, and this time she gave me advice. So it was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that at all, which was great, because the phone call was just me reaching out to her to see how she was doing, how I can provide how I can be of a service to her. And it turns out that she was a service to me. So that was a total win.
Wow.
And
total win.
Yeah. So that was really cool. Yeah.
I love when you have a certain win and then you get an unexpected bonus. You know, that's something that I love. A lot of very good. I'm a gamer, so I want to bring this up. A lot of games every now and then they do something very well where every now and then they'll incorporate some sort of bonus. So let's say, for example, you are completing a mission, a quest, whatever, and it's something you've done several times, but for whatever reason this time you got a bonus because you were picked. And so like what that does is that it makes you feel good. So when you have a daily win and then you execute that, but then you get an unexpected bonus, it's like, well, dang, that's awesome. Because now it kind of became like a twofold win. And it kind of happened to you earlier in the call. You mentioned how you had been cleaning and you found these CDs, and now you went from cleaning to having a house concert. And it's like, what, you know, that's like a double win right there. Like, and it's an unexpected win.
Yeah, no, that was totally a win. And another win that I had while I was cleaning, and it's funny you brought that up again, was I found some really good pictures that I've been meaning to collage, and so now I just have to get the scrap paper and you know, put that together. But I have the photos, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I've been meaning to put something together for a while. So I ordered some of the supplies, and I should be getting it soon. So maybe next time we talk, I can show you the collage.
That's actually great. I would love to definitely see that. And it sounds like that collage is something that you're kind of just doing for fun, which is great because
Yeah.
that's kind of the next thing that I wanted to talk about was this idea of having passion projects.
Yeah, I
It
know
sounds
it's
like that's a
super
passion
important
project
to.
right there.
Yeah, collaging has always been something I've been interested doing some type of creativity, you know, and it's just was in the back of my. It's literally it was like forgotten, and during this time, it's basically come out like, oh, I could do that now I could do my collaging, and so yeah, so that you could definitely call that a passion project for sure.
Yeah. And and that's one thing, we mentioned it at the beginning as well, but I want to really bring it up again because it's just so important. It's really important to balance the productivity and the fun during this time. Life is look, I'm someone who is very goal oriented. And I will sit down and I will talk to you about the importance of having financial goals, professional goals, business goals. I will sit down and I will have a lot of conversation on the value of that because it's valuable and it's important. I also understand that there's value in having goals for fun. Set a fun goal, set a goal for a project that's going to bring new energy into your life. And this life is meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be played full out. And we can always find ways to incorporate fun little things into our life. I mean, look, one of the passion projects that I started not too long ago was this thing that I came up with called Motivation May, where I would just make a short little video about something that just motivates me on a daily basis. It could short videos, 1 minute long. I mean, nothing really expecting it from return because a lot of times I make videos, I do content, and some of it is promotional. But I made these videos just for the heck of it. Like, just let me just put good energy out there and let me talk about some things that motivate me. And it's so fun. It's so fun to just make content just to make it for fun and just to really put something creative out there that people can really benefit from. I have toyed with the idea as well about making movie reviews. And I have no experience in reviewing anything, but I saw a lot of martial arts movies in the last several weeks, and I love martial arts so much. I was like, why don't I just make a review just for the heck of it, just because? Just because it's fun,
That
like,
sounds
you know what I
great.
mean? Like, just for the heck of it, just because.
Yeah, it's funny because you and I are similar in that sense that we think of these things because I was also thinking about that as well. Like, it's been a while since I've had like either a conversation about a movie that I saw or having some discussion, and a friend of mine said, hey, why don't we have like a chat where we could talk about a movie that we saw, and that way we could sort of like dissect it and kind of converse about it. And I said, oh yeah, we did that like years ago. We actually had a chat where we would talk about the movie and what our thoughts were, and we haven't done that, and now it seems like it's going to come back. So it's funny you mentioned movies because yeah, it was a conversation I was just having with a friend of mine yesterday on
That's
that
excellent.
same subject.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's really funny. And it's actually funny because I probably should have mentioned this first, but it kind of just entered into my mind. I actually officially, as of a month ago, I joined a Catholic men's book club where we're reading several chapters every single month, and we talk about it once a month. And right now we're meeting virtually, but that's been something that was one of my friends said, hey, like, you want to be a part of this book club? It was like a few months ago, and I was like, yeah, why not? Like, sure. And we finally started meeting a little bit over a month ago, and it's been great. Like, I love it, and we just had another one of our meetings on Saturday, and it's just like more than just a book. The book is great. It's called Brideshead Revisited. It's this book about,
Oh, I heard about that
you heard
book.
about it? It's this
Yeah.
book. Basically, it's a book between. It goes back and forth between a few years after the end of World War One, and then when he's a captain in World War Two. So it's kind of like it's one of those books that has flashbacks between different stages of his life,
Yeah.
and it's a very interesting book,
Nice.
you know. But the point is that I love the book. It's a very interesting writing style. It's a genre that I've never really read, so it's completely new to me. This kind of old style literature. The verbiage is different. The time is different. The characters are very unique. It's a very much like a gentleman's book. It was a great way to start the club. And what I found interesting about it is that it's not just about the book, but just talking, like spending half an hour just talking about different topics, whether if it's opinions that we have on certain things that are going on, politics, beer that we like, whatever. Like the point is that we're having a fun time with something purposeful, but it's fun. Like it's just a nice
Yeah.
aspect to it.
That's a great part of your day too, you know, like going back to the routine and your schedule. How often do you meet?
Right now, we've been meeting once a month. We've had 2 official meetings so far.
Okay, yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say like that's really good commitment to have like a book club and that's a wonderful way of getting yourself out of your routine too, you know,
yeah.
because you're reading every day. You probably have a certain goal that you're setting yourself up to do. Like how many pages do you read a day, or do you read, you know, sporadically? Like, do you
I'll
read some
be
days and some days you don't?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, at least for the last 2 meetings, I find it valuable for me to kind of cram it in towards the end. Like I'm being
Okay.
completely honest with you. And the reason why is because at least my life, how my life is, we meet on Saturdays. So I'm a very fast reader. I'm usually able to read 50 to 100 pages in just a few hours, if anything, you know.
Wow.
So
I am.
I'm a very good reader, so I can read, pretty quickly. And I actually took a speed reading. I've taken a couple of speed reading programs to help me be a faster reader. Especially when I first started coaching, I was gobbling books. I still do. So I had to. Okay, I have all these books I got to read. I got to find a way to be more efficient. So
Yeah.
I started listening to a couple of speed reading programs by a guy named Jim Quick. That's literally his last name. His last name is Quick. Uh,
Wonderful.
Kwik. But
That's
his
great
programs
branding.
really helped. It really helped me read.
That's awesome. No, that's
Yeah.
really good. And also very valuable, Mauro, that you mentioned that to, you know, to the viewers who probably don't read as fast as you do. And I can relate to that. I'm not a fast reader. I love Audible, and I love
Audible's
to
great.
listen to I love to listen to the books because I could gobble up books pretty fast by listening to them, and then I make notes as I listen to them, you know, so it's a lot easier for me to listen than to read. I actually fall asleep when I'm reading, so yeah. I don't know, maybe I'll have to check out this guy, Mr. Quick, and
Mr.
see
Quick.
if he could help me.
Yeah, that's a very important thing that you brought up there. Everybody has different learning styles. I'm also extremely audio as well. I listen to books when I drive too. And, at the end of the day, it's a skill like any other. And you can always find ways to improve yourself, whether if it's reading a book, whether if it's learning a new skill, riding a bike, starting a business, whatever. But it takes practice, right? And it's consistent
Yeah.
practice and feedback and just learning and just sticking to something. And I remember from an audiobook perspective, I started challenging myself by increasing the speed at which the audio is played. So right now, with all content, I can listen to it at 2 times speed. There are
Oh,
some pieces of content that I can go to 2.5, but it depends on the speaker. Because what happens is that sometimes if people already have a fast pace of speaking, once you go past 2.0 speed, it becomes very difficult to listen because they already talk fast anyway. So I'm between 2 and 2.5. But when I first started, I started off at 1.25. I did that for a couple of days. Then I tried 1.5. I did that for a week, and so you go and you start to, your brain starts to be able, the funny thing that Jim Quick talks about, and I've talked about this with my client as well, is that the human brain is a supercomputer. It can process information extremely quickly when you focus. And that's the biggest thing that he talks about, is that most of the time when we try to swallow information, especially if we're multitasking, it's very difficult to swallow high quality information. So when you increase your level of focus on something, it really helps. And ironically, when your brain is attempting to decipher something, what happens is your focus actually increases. So by the process of you forcing your mind to process something faster, you're actually increasing your level of focus on said task.
Wow.
And so it actually ends up feeding each other. They end up feeding each other. Your focus goes up, your retention and your knowledge go up, your speed goes up, and it kind of just builds upon each other. It's a fascinating thing. It's a little bit of a psychological thing as to how our brain works.
Awesome. That is super fascinating. Thanks, Mauro, for bringing that value to. It's very, very much needed. The concept of you could always change. You can always adapt if you focus. Because we have the mechanics. Like, our brains are designed for that. That's amazing. Thank you so much for bringing that up. I am definitely going to take your advice, and I'm going to increase the audio. I'm going to do it. I'll let you know how it goes, because that's going to be one of my wins, because when I'm listening to audio, and if I increase it, and if I do better, and if I can retain the information with the speed, then yeah, that's going to be a win for me. So definitely I'm going to do that. And it's also something you mentioned about reading a book that you were not familiar with. I was reading an article about people going back to the classics during the pandemic, reading books, and going back and reading those books that they liked or that they forgot, from back in 8th grade or 7th grade or, early high school. Those classics that they got it, that were like drilled in by your English teachers.
Yeah.
And told, and like, you may not have read them because you read the Cliff Notes.
Guilty as charged.
And now people are going back to the classics, and I thought that was great, because I also have I have one of the classics in my nightstands right now, so I can relate to that, and that's really great. Reading is another great pastime, and hours can go by, and like you said, you could read like 150 pages and in one sitting or something. So that's great. Yeah. So that's another thing that you can build into the routine, into your day.
Yeah. It's a great way to level up. I mean, I think knowledge is power, but it also requires action, right? So once you have the knowledge, and we talked a lot about this today, it's very important to take that and get into action as quickly as possible through a powerful new routine. And I think at the end of the day, that's what's going to change your life, right? So my call to action for everybody listening right now, as we wrap this up, is I want you to pick just one thing. I want you to just make one daily win, just one routine, just one thing that you're going to do right now that's going to change your life in some way, shape, or form. That's my call to action to you. Just one. Now, don't be surprised if that 1 becomes 2 and that 2 becomes 4. But just start with 1.
Yeah.
Just start with 1 and watch how fun and easy it becomes once the ball starts rolling to keep the ball rolling. So
1 win on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, I like that. Yes,
1
1 win on Wednesday.
Yeah.
If it's not Wednesday right now, do it right now. But if it is Wednesday, then great.
Yeah. But if it's not, 1 win a day, I
One
guess
win
it would be the
day. Jackie, honestly, it's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was
Thank
an
you.
awesome experience. I want
Likewise.
to inform, thank you. I want to inform our listeners, if you want to reach out to Jackie with any questions or comments or know more about how she can serve you with her amazing services, feel free to reach out to her on Instagram, Facebook. She has a lot of good she has personal page, but her professional page is Live Free Pain Therapy. You can reach out to her and find out how she can better serve you. She also has some content coming up. Oh, there was the phone. I guess I gotta be careful when I talk about Jackie because bad things can happen. But so please, if you found this content,
I was having way too much fun.
Way too much fun. Just goes to show what happens when you have when you have a lot of fun. So definitely don't be shy. Feel free to reach out to you. Check out. She has amazing content, and you can also check out our past video that we did, which is also available on YouTube. Check out all of her channels, and definitely the same thing for me. You can find our content on Crusader Coaching on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube as well. If you have any questions or comments on how I can better serve you or how Jackie can better serve you as well, please feel free to reach out to either of us so that we can better serve you. And we want to thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to having you tune in on our next content. We have another webinar coming up soon with another chiropractor that we've been speaking to. We're excited about putting that up as well. So once again, Jackie, thank you so much for tuning in, and please give a nice farewell to all of our audience here.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Mauro. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to the next one.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you on, and we'll definitely do another one soon. Thanks, Jackie.